Well, it looks like I've only got time enough for one more video, and I figured the most useful thing I could do is sign conventions for work and heat. Honestly, I don't know how much use I'm going to be. I hope I get all this right. It's referenced on the equation sheet. We've got not a whole lot, I guess. Anyways, we've got the E in minus the E out. That's the Q in plus the work in minus the same thing out. Is the delta E of the system. Usually it's equal to 0. It's most of the problems we've done. Alright, so we've got, in this case, we're talking about net values, work in versus work out. Alright, let's consider a piston cylinder, just because that's like the basic thing. That's what we've been considering a whole lot. Now, work is pretty simple. It's like the work that you put in is going to be like electricity. It's going to be like electricity, or no, it's not going to be heat, or it could be some mechanical thing. This lovely 4-pointed gear. No, it's terrible. Okay, so you could have some mechanical energy, mechanical work being done into the system, and then you'll have work out. In the piston cylinder case, it's typically, it's more common that you will say have a flame, and this flame will put heat in, and that will make the gas expand and give you an output for work. Alright, the heat out in this situation is, like we've discussed, well, we didn't really discuss it, but I mentioned it earlier, is going to be, it's very often going to be friction. We're going to have an output of heat due to friction. So this is pretty much it. I'm trying to remember it. Yeah, when it was talking about friction, when we did that problem with the pump, and we had to find out what would be produced by friction, how much heat would be produced by that. That was the Q out. That was negative, because heat is just weird. Yeah, the Q out is going typically negative. The Q in would presumably be positive. Honestly, I'm not really sure I'm doing a great job of explaining this. I hope y'all understand it. But it's reversed. Q out is typically negative. Q in is typically positive. W in is typically negative, I think. W out is typically positive. You know, these two I'm not too sure about, but I'm pretty sure about the output ones. That makes sense. I hope this is what's right. And you know, we got E in minus E out equals delta E sys. Let's assume the delta E is 0. So that equals the W in plus the Q in minus the W out minus the Q out. That is not how you spell out. Spelling like a Canadian oot. Like a Canadian would say it anyways. They would never write it like that, I'm sure. So we see that this is W net plus Q net. Although this is not right. This is supposed to be negative. I don't know if this is even going to qualify as an educational video or just me rambling, because I am really struggling to figure this out. If anyone wants to give a clear explanation in the comments, go right ahead, even if it's like a week after the exam. Or even 5 years down the road. Hopefully I would have it down by then. Trying to figure out where I'm trying to go with this. Let's look at this solution. I think it mentions it somewhere. Here we go. Oh, here it is. It's right here. You can't... Hopefully you can see it. Right there on the first line. Q net minus W net equals E of the cycle. Okay, so that's not right. But that's not what the... Oh, okay. I think this works. I think it works. Okay, so that's not right. Okay, so Q net minus W net equals delta E sys. Alright, so that means we got a Q in, which is some positive value, minus a Q out, which is negative, minus omega in, which is negative, plus omega out, which is supposedly positive, equals 0. Then we can say that Q in plus work in equals Q out plus W out. Which just makes sense. What you put in equals what you get out. That makes sense. Okay, so this is right. Ignore this, what I did here. This is true. And it works with all the sign conventions that I discussed. Okay. So hey, I did figure this out. Alright, the work in is typically negative. Work out is positive. So basically, just remember, if you can remember this function and this idea, then you put them together and you can extrapolate back to this. Hopefully that'll work for you, because I always forget sign conventions if I don't have like an actual function to look at or something like that. This hopefully will help you. So what you put in is equal to what you put out, net-wise. Okay? And you just subtract. W net is negative, minus W net. And then if you work backwards from there, you should be able to find out that W in is negative, W out is positive, etc., etc. Okay? Hope y'all got that.